Well, hello there. I know it's been a few weeks. Yeah, it's been a few weeks since I last did a video. A lot of that has to do with one whole week that I had a lot of work during, uh, in which I didn't knit. So there was like really nothing to show at that time. I was like, what am I going to talk about? Like, I haven't done anything. Then the other week, I was kind of away from home. I was trimming bushes. I went on a birthday, and then in the garden, I went to trim the people's bushes. But that was fun. That was like actually pretty fun. And then this past week, I've been sort of going back to my knits more often, and managed to actually finish a couple of things and kind of start a second, like a big project that I also am kind of near finishing. Well, not also, but like it's more than halfway done. So I finished this scarf, which is, it's a shawl. No, it's not a scarf. It's a shawl, and it's called the Anesidora shawl, and I've been showing it off a couple of times here while I was still working on it. And yeah, this is pretty much what it turned out being. To be fair, it's not exactly a shawl. Like it is a shawl, but it's not the exact measurements as in the pattern. So the pattern calls for like a 44mm needle, and I ended up not liking how stretchy or like rather see-through-y and like drapey the fabric was. I get that that's the point for a shawl, but like when you look at it close and when you have like a small little swatch, which is what I had at the time, I was like, this looks really airy. I don't like it. So I just sized down a little bit to 3.5, and I continued blissfully knitting. And then at one point, right, it's like the shawl is getting kind of big. And then at one point I'm like, I'm already way beyond the amount of stitches the center part of the shawl requires. Like it's like, let's say it's like 150, and I was like way beyond that. And I'm like, this doesn't look like the proper length though. Like the lady in the picture, she keeps showing this shawl that's like I think 80 inches in like wingspread, and mine isn't there. Mine is like less. It was less. It was like probably like 60. It was like a lot smaller than like my finished spread is like a lot smaller than what the pattern called for. But I guess that's what you get when you like size down a needle like that. I guess that's what the 4mm does. It's makes for like a much roomier, stretchier stripe for each one of these. But let me just like adjust like here a little bit so you can see a little bit more of it. It still works really great. I love wearing it like this with a coat or even without. I also been wearing it as a like a sort of like a blanket sort of thing, like a scarf that you wrap around in, and it's been really cozy. I am super happy with how it turned out. I don't think I'll ever, no, I don't want to say ever, but I don't think I'll attempt this again because it gave me such an incredible cramp, be it because of the stitches being kind of loose and slippery on the metal needles, and then you have to like, the purling part is the problem because it has like this sort of lace motif. You need to purl these things 3 at the same time and then create 3 new stitches of each of them. That was a nightmare. That hurt my hand so much. At one point you kind of get into the rhythm of it, especially when there's a lot of them, and it's a little bit easier to do, but that cramped my hand at least 3 separate occasions. So as much as I like the shawl, as much as my mom likes the shawl, and she's been like hint hint nudge nudge nudging me to make one for her maybe next year, I don't know if I will, because it was just not a pleasant experience to knit the lace parts. Maybe with my stitches, maybe with the way that I sort of like pick them up. I don't know. That was the only thing that I had like a sort of a bitterness while I was making this. But other than that, scarf turned out, shawl turned out really good. I haven't even blocked it yet because I've been wearing it so often. It's kind of springy here already, even though it's not even March. It's like the end of February today. And I've been wearing it every day. I'm almost every day. I've been like wrapping around with it. I've been going out with it. I've been just like admiring it from a distance. So I'm really happy with how it turned out. I would recommend it, especially if you don't have problems with purling multiple stitches and creating new ones from that, because that was like my biggest issue. And I'm super happy with being able to use up tons and tons of scraps and like all the lengths of yarn left. I had this a few, I don't know, pieces, I want to call them, pieces of like a cardigan that I wanted to crochet. It was just basically just, I think triple crochet. I don't know what it's called. I don't know. I don't do crochet, so I don't know what the terminology is. It's just you make 3 and then you chain a couple and then you make 3 and then you chain a couple and it creates like, it's like a granny stitch, a granny square, but like straight, like just horizontal granny square. I don't know what they're called. So I did panels for a cardigan like that because like I had seen something like a couple of years ago, and those panels just stood there. Like I abandoned that idea really quickly, but I had knit so much of a yarn held double, like a fingering weight yarn held double for those panels, that it was weighing on me that these would not get recycled into anything, but they did. This is what I recycled them in. And yeah, I'm super happy about that. I'm super happy that I got to make this whole thing. This was my first time making a shawl. I've only made like the Sophie scarf twice. They were much smaller projects, like kind of like within a day. And this took me like, I don't know, like a month, more than a month on and off. When I last showed you this, I wasn't even halfway there. And then after that, some couple of weeks passed, and then I picked it up again, and I've been like knitting on it ever since. And once you like pass the halfway point, it's kind of more fun because then you start decreasing. Like you're like, ooh, 1 stitch less to work this time. So I did that, and yeah, I don't know what else much more to say about this. Maybe I'll insert like a photo of it being spread out, or the photo of this thing is gonna be the thumbnail. I don't know. Get debated. So I finished the scarf. I also finished a pair of home socks, which I think is my first pair of home socks that I've made. I've started a second one since, but it's kind of going nowhere. But I finished these home socks that I started with 2 fingering weight yarns held double, and I've shown you a little bit in I think a past video, maybe like 2 videos ago. I've shown you like where the first one was and where the second one was at the time. So yeah, basically holding one this like, it's called space dye something sock yarn, I don't know. might link it below, but I'm holding this yarn that's like marled and funky with a color. In this section it's like the peach, and then this is like this rusty red, and then this is like this foamy green with that same color of yarn, the marled one, since it has those colors within it, and I think it ended up looking really cute. And I've been wearing these a couple of times. I've already washed them once. They are strangely felting a little bit at the foot, even though I haven't like worn them enough for them to felt like this. But I'm guessing the bottom part will always kind of felt. Yeah, I'm really happy with how they turned out. This is not a pattern that I've seen. Like, I mean, it's a really simple sock pattern. If I have to give it a name, I just haven't used one. It's just a 2x2 rib that has an afterthought heel, and that's pretty much it. Since then, there was a sale on Andrea Mowry's patterns, and I've picked up the bear paw socks, and I really want to knit those because they have a really funky heel that forms like a little triangle at the back. They're also toe up, which I've never done before. That's like a sock that I want to make into the future. I also purchased a Alpenglow, I think it's called, a sweater, but that's gonna be like way into the future, maybe for like next year when I knit, because I have started on a sweater that I've been ogling for a while. It's let me just take this off because I feel like it's a nightmare to look at so many stripy, colorful things at the same time. So I've started and kind of went and like made half of it already. An Aros sweater by Petite Knit. So this sweater, I've been like occasionally encountering someone either on YouTube or like a favorite somewhere, and I'm like, ooh, this is so nice. The thing that I didn't like, it's not that I don't like it, and especially now I love it, but like at the time I was like, that kind of looks kind of interesting, kind of not my favorite way of like a sweater construction. And you can see the sweater is formed, like the shoulder is formed by creating like these increases here on the sleeve, and then it like you keep making raglan increases for this part of it. Like, that blew my mind. It was really fun to do, and the best part about the sweater is that it fits incredibly well. But I guess you'll see that once I finish it and block it, and you can see how it looks on me. But yeah, this sweater, the Aros sweater, holds 2 yarns together. It holds a fingering and a mohair, a strand of mohair. Although I didn't use the same yarns throughout, so there's like a little bit of brushed alpaca silk. There's a Hobby Diablo mohair that's barely any wool in it. It's just like 30% wool and the rest is poly and nylon. And I have a few skeins, a couple of skeins maybe, that were actual mohair, kid silk by Drops, with all kinds of leftovers of fingering weight yarns, both alpaca and Nord and all kinds of other ones that I've gathered that I don't even keep the labels of. They're so old. But held like this and making this like fun stripy combination. I didn't even keep to a pattern, like a pattern for the stripes or like rhyme or reason. I just sort of knit them as I go, and I saw how they look next to each other, and I continued on until the bottom. The repeatable color that goes throughout is this creamy white, this is how much I have left of it for now. I think I have one more of these skeins, which I will need for the sleeves. But yeah, what was I gonna say about it? But yeah, so this sweater is actually kind of fitted, especially by petite knit standards. I think it's an older design of hers as well, which I was kind of like, I really don't like fitted sweaters. I do like to have some positive ease. So I kind of decided on making the L, I think, or the XL, like the 4th size. And I'm usually the 2nd or the 3rd on her pattern, so like an S or an M, simply because she has so much positive ease. And I tried this out yesterday, I think, before I started making the bottom brim elastic something, the bottom part of the sweater, before I started making the final Nippon Pearl one finishing, and it fits amazingly. Like, I've seen other people talk about how well this fit of the sweater is, but until I tried it out myself, I kind of didn't believe it. So yeah, I'm super excited about it. My mom also expressed interest in owning it, and I don't mind knitting a 2nd sweater like right after this one even. I'm like super pumped. It looks, it works out really fun. I love changing all the stripes. I want to experiment with different colors, or maybe like different thicknesses of the stripe. Perhaps like a 6x8 with like a white color that repeats more often. So yeah, because I got bored of this part here, I actually picked up some sleeve stitches this morning and created this much, and knit up this much of the sleeve up until like my white bit. Also, this color is not the same as that color. I just ran out of this color's yarn and I just replaced it, substituted it with something else. For it, I think I'm holding this alpaca silk and this Drops color together, and even though they're kind of not completely the same, like this one is more peachy and this one is more ashy pink, they just work well together. Like once you knit up a fair bit of them, they just work well, even though they're not the same. I really don't care. I just want like a colorful spring fun sweater that can be worn with jeans and with overalls and stuff like that, maybe like a skirt. So yeah, I spoke so much in like 13 minutes, but this is pretty much everything that I've been knitting. And I have slight progress on my other sweaters, but it's not worth showing because it's like yay much. I've done a little bit more of the color work on my Twig sweater, which after this I'm probably gonna finish, like finally. I've been waiting for small circular needles in 2mm. Yeah, small circulars, 2mm, because I had these like really big ones, and ribbing, because it's like this much that I need to do on the cuff. Was super nightmarish to do on those like big circulars. So I'm really happy I have the small ones, and I think it will go by much quicker this time for the cuff, for the 2nd sleeve. So I'm hoping after I finish this thing, which is, I'm kind of near, like, I don't want to say near the end, but if I put myself to it, I can probably finish the sleeve tonight, although I kind of don't want to. I enjoy working on this in the morning before I start work, so I want to keep it for a little bit longer. And so I've been working a little bit on the Twigs. It doesn't have a lot of color work left, maybe like about 15 to 20 centimeters left before the cuff, or a little bit less even. and that one is also going to be off my needles. I'm really excited about it. I've also been working a little bit on the trove that I started. Not having the funnest time with it. Not because of the pattern itself, because it's really fun to make slip stitches and like create the striping in that way, but rather my yarn choice is not great. It's something that I already had in stash, which is kind of the point of these sweaters. Like I want to like get my stash cleaned up and not have like a backlog of yarn. Although this yarn is also completely made from stash, but I never planned for it. So it's like all kinds of yarns that I've collected through sales, from drops usually, and some fingerings, and they were just like sitting there, and it was just really fun to like whip them all out, arrange them, and see if I have like a nice palette to work with, which is kind of the reason I buy these in the first place. Like it just feels inspiring to have a whole bunch of yarn skeins that you can combine and like try out something and play around with. And I kind of get why people like having a stash. It's like it'd be a bummer if I had no pencils, right? Like if I ran through all my pencils and I never had any available. So I kind of get why people keep a stash of yarns. And yeah, this is my call to that. This is my reminder maybe that I always have like a certain amount of yarn, that I'll never buy only yarn for a certain project, especially if it's like really colorful like this. So I guess this is like a sort of don't beat yourself up for having too much yarn, because for me it's really creative. It feels really fun to be able to have these materials on hand at any moment, so I can just arrange them and see if something will work out. So yeah, super excited about it. Oh, one other thing. The color is supposed to be a folded color, which I'm not a big fan of, especially because I don't want this to be like really warm here. I'm making this sweater as a sort of like spring. It's an early spring sweater basically. I'm making it like kind of, I don't want to say it's loose or whatever, but it's much lighter than all my other tops. So I only did this in a single layer. Yeah, I only made this in single layer, and it is a little flary. Like I'm not a huge fan of how this is looking right now. Maybe when I block it will become a little bit nicer. And I think I will probably purchase some elastic and thread a little bit of elastic here, just so that this lays like as closest to my neck and collarbone as possible, so it's not like flaring out at all. That was pretty much the only like issue I want to say I have with it so far. Everything else has been great. And yeah, maybe next time I talk to you, I will show you the finished thing. What else? In terms of knitting, I think that's pretty much all of it. As I said, I've been trimming bushes, and I'm actually kind of going back. It's in my it's at my boyfriend's house. It's at my boyfriend's parents' house, and they have a big garden, and I get to like play gardener for a bit there. And I'm actually excited to trim some more bushes, because I am learning in the process. Although I feel like, especially for the bush trimming part, I won't know if I did a good job until it's like spring and all the leaves are out, and then the bush like either looks good or doesn't, or it becomes like a spider's nest, because like a lot of it needed to be cleared up. Anyway, so I've been doing that a little bit. I've been going out on nicer walks now that it's more sunny these days. I've been also playing a game. There was a bunch of games on sale on the Nintendo Switch store. So I purchased Children of Morta, which is a roguelike RPG game, I want to call it, similar to like Diablo 2, if that means anything. And I also purchased Garden Story, which looks adorable, but I haven't gotten around to playing it just yet. I am kind of savoring it, because in May, me and my mom are going, along with like some other relatives, like my cousin, her sister, yada yada. We're going on a trip in like around some European countries. We're going to Italy, we're going to France, we're going through Germany, and we're going through I want to say Luxembourg, but I'm not sure. Yeah, I'm not sure. She handles everything. I just gave her the money for the ticket for the trips. So we're going through all of those places, and I want to be certain I have enough to knit, in the bus rides, because it's going to be like a 9-day trip. I want to be certain I have enough to knit and I have enough to play on the Switch. So I'm kind of keeping Garden Story for that time. But I'm kind of excited. I really want to try it out. But I'm gonna play them one at a time. Also, new Zelda's coming out, so it's gonna be a lot. I kind of don't knit as much in the summer, so I'm kind of worried if I'll have anything to show for if I continue making these videos through summer as well. Although now that I know how to make socks, I feel like it will be easier on me. Like I will be able to scratch my knitting edge, and I'll be able to carry like a couple of sock projects here and there. Maybe like a little scarf. Maybe I'll just simply work on a lot of like small things like that for winter. So I have like a backlog of gifts prepared for Christmas. Last Christmas I didn't manage to make everyone a handmade item as I wanted to, but I think this time I will, especially with socks maybe and mittens. So yeah, that was so much. I think I'm done. I think I'm positively done. I've shown you everything. I don't have anything new because I am trying to bust that stash, or at least like get like the older things that I've purchased down, like remove them, knit through them, gift them, whatever. So yeah, I don't have anything else in that department. But maybe next time we'll have some. I want to make some new pouches for my shop. Like a small update sometime in early spring, maybe end of March or beginning of April. And I want to make some pouches, and I want to try some different sort of like patchwork ideas. Up till now, I've only done like squares, but I want to maybe make like some Missouri stars or pinwheels, or I think it's called log cabin or something like that. It's like when you make a square and then you wrap pieces around it like that in square formation. So yeah, maybe I'll have some more of those to show. But that's it for now. Just shut up now. Go have some water, relax a little bit, maybe like another coffee, and get back to work and knitting. And yeah, hope you enjoyed. Hope you had a good time, and talk to you soon. Talk to me in the comments. Bye!